It's one thing to be really ignorant and out of touch with reality, and it's another thing to just intentionally decide to be a pain in the neck of everyone. But what's really worse is when you're out of touch with reality and so rigid with no trait of being logically practical, and at the same time decide to double down on frustrating investors and the Canadian populace and not letting your country grow even when there's an ample opportunity to do so. And of course, I'm talking about Canada's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his virtues signaling hypocritical actions. What's happening right now and what Justin Trudeau just did recently is not only baffling, but rather absolutely ridiculous. We have a rich and extremely technologically advanced country like Germany saying to Canada, "We need liquefied natural gas really badly, and we will pay you top dollar for it." And there's Justin Trudeau acting like, "Oh, thanks for handing us a golden opportunity on a silver platter. Give us a minute while we throw it out." It just makes absolutely no sense. Take a look at how a country like South Korea turned swampland into one of the world's great economies through incredible hard work, determination, and positivity. But here you've got Canada blessed with enormous advantages and has yet decided to throw them all away through Justin Trudeau, all for some virtue signaling ideological stand on climate change like he's going to save the whole world and control floods and fire or something. Apparently, when Germany knocks on the door of Canada as an ally asking for help, Justin Trudeau would rather sit back and preach about climate change. In other words, Justin Trudeau had declared that there's most likely no business case for exporting liquefied natural gas to Europe, implying that even if Canada could be of help to its allies and also massively gain economically to help its dwindling economy, Justin Trudeau would rather let his out-of-touch and idealistic green ideology get in the way of what's best for Canada. It's arguably clear that the Germans need liquefied natural gas now. Justin Trudeau's delusional righteous virtue is just really nauseating. But of course, there's still much more to this story, so stay around and watch this video till the end. And if today is your first time watching this channel, you're highly welcome to Front Page News, a channel dedicated to bringing you the latest news update without the ill-concealed and abundant hypocrisy of the left-wing and mainstream media. Please take a moment to support the channel by clicking the subscribe button and sharing this video and our videos with as many people as possible. Also, leave a like and kindly drop your opinions in the comment section below. You should as well consider turning on your post notifications so you never miss any of our regular video updates. That said, let's quickly continue. So here's what's happening. In an assessment delivered by Justin Trudeau as he welcomed Germany's Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, who apparently came to Canada seeking alternatives to Russian energy, Justin Trudeau has criticized the business case for exporting natural gas directly from the East Coast or Quebec to Europe. He and German leader Olaf Scholz signaled their focus instead is producing cleaner energy such as hydrogen, a technology that clearly doesn't have significant ground in Canada. Apparently, Germany has been suffering from an energy crisis after Russia suddenly cut back supplies of natural gas to Europe in reaction to the heavy sanctions imposed on the Kremlin by Berlin and other Western countries for Russian President Vladimir Putin's military invasion of Ukraine. And in order to find a solution to the energy crisis, Germany has resumed its coal plants and is traveling far afield even to Qatar to seek natural gas in order to rectify the dramatic energy cut from Russia. In an address, Mr. Scholz mentioned that two major German auto giants, Volkswagen and Mercedes, are in the process of signing agreements with the Canadian government to cooperate on supply chains for electric vehicles. And of course they did. It would be interesting to know that Ottawa had signed EV deals with Mercedes-Benz and Volkswagen. But the rather saddening and pathetic commentary on the business case for exporting liquefied natural gas to Europe got blown out Tuesday during the discussion on exporting hydrogen to Germany in the future. During the press conference in Montreal, Justin Trudeau was asked why he's not devoting more attention to sending natural gas to Europe. Trudeau had responded that possible central Canadian or East Coast locations for plants to convert natural gas to liquefied natural gas for shipment are all far from the Alberta oil patch and therefore make it a less business case. In his words, liquefied natural gas conversion plants are usually placed close to the sources of natural gas. And as we look at the possibility of LNG plants on the East Coast able to ship directly to Germany, we find ourselves a long way from the gas fields in Western Canada. Speaking on the prospect of the East Coast LNG, Trudeau further mentioned that there are a number of potential projects, including one in St. John and some others, that are on the books for which there has never been a strong business case because of the distance from the gas fields. He further mentioned that proponents are now evaluating whether the changed circumstances in Europe, where Germany is facing energy rationing because of the restricted Russian energy flows, make it a worthwhile business case to make investments in East Coast facilities. Justin Trudeau stated that if a business case were found for LNG exports from the East Coast, the Liberal government would help ease the regulatory burden facing project proponents. In his words, from the government's standpoint, easing the processes because of the difficulty that Germany is facing to make sure we can move through regulatory hurdles more quickly is something we are willing to do. But there needs to be a business case. It needs to make sense for Germany to be receiving LNG directly from the East Coast. Those are discussions that are ongoing right now between our ministers, between various companies to see if indeed it makes sense. The fastest route for Canadian natural gas to Europe is through existing pipelines in the United States that take the commodity to the LNG facilities on the United States Gulf Coast. Right now, our best capacity is to continue to contribute to the global market to displace gas that Europe and Germany can then locate from other sources. Meanwhile, it would be rather interesting and at the same time really baffling to know that Scholz's 3 days of travel to Canada is part of Germany's efforts to become independent of the Russian gas and mineral supplies and to deepen energy and raw materials partnerships with other countries, apparently included visiting Montreal, Toronto, and a remote location in western Newfoundland where proponents hope to produce hydrogen years in the future. But the German Chancellor's trip does not involve a visit to Calgary, that is arguably the central location of Canada's energy industry. And when Justin Trudeau was asked by a German reporter whether he was ready to deliver natural gas to Germany, Trudeau refuses to answer the question. Instead, in what looks like confessing and at the same time avoiding the question, Trudeau replied that Canada is a major oil and gas producer in the world, but because of its alleged commitment to fighting climate change, the government is working very, very hard to decarbonize and develop other sources of energy that can be relied upon and shared with the world. But of course, that response alone should be enough to send a signal to Germans that Justin Trudeau is not ready to provide assistance to keep their industries running or their homes warm in the coming harsh winter. On another end, Flavio Volpi, president of the Automotive Parts Manufacturers Association, has stated that the Volkswagen and Mercedes agreements that are being signed with Canada reflect the benefits of a deal struck in the United States Congress on tax incentives for electric vehicles. Apparently, to qualify for the maximum tax credits in the climate legislation that was recently passed, an electric car's battery will need to contain North American components, and the percentage threshold will increase over time to 100% in the next 6 years. Volpe mentioned that it makes Canada's budding electric vehicle component industry more attractive for automotive industry investors. Meanwhile, Timothy Egan, president and chief executive officer of the Canadian Gas Association, which represents the natural gas delivery industry, has reacted by stating that the major impediment to building liquefied natural gas facilities on the East Coast is regulatory uncertainty. Egan said prospective investors couldn't be sure when or if the Liberal government would approve the necessary pipeline infrastructure to deliver natural gas to an export facility. In his words, is there a business case? There's an incredible business case if the regulatory framework is clear. Are the environmental approval processes going to be fast enough and clear enough? How is it that this can happen so quickly in the United States, and it can't happen as quickly in Canada? Well, of course, I can't be less reasonable with Egan's view. There clearly is a business case for Canada to export liquefied natural gas from the East Coast, but it appears Justin Trudeau just does not like anything associated with Canada's energy industry, as he seems to be on his green ideological crusade to single-handedly save the planet regardless of whatever hardship and frustration it causes Canadians and the economy of Canada. Apparently, Trudeau criticizes the business case for exporting natural gas directly from the East Coast or Quebec to Europe, but agrees there is a business case for a green hydrogen plant in Newfoundland powered by 164 unbuilt onshore wind turbines to be completed whenever and are carried in ships that don't exist to end up in an offloading facility and distribution system that apparently hasn't been invented. You know, it's just really funny and so annoying at the same time. It's evident that if Justin Trudeau doesn't want a business case for any industry to thrive in Canada, then you can be sure he would find every excuse to make sure there's never going to be one. It is more apparent now, more than ever, that the only regulatory hurdle for a business case for exporting natural gas directly to Europe is most probably Quebec's refusal to allow a pipeline through the province. And of course, Justin Trudeau knows that will likely not change, and given the fact that he's also an obsessed eco-terrorist, but he would still be pretending to be open to ideas. And you know, it sounds even more ridiculous for someone like Trudeau to mention the word business case. I mean, what could this guy possibly know about business cases? This is coming from a prime minister who once said budgets balance themselves a year ago and, in a relatively ignorant manner, had told Canadians that deficits aren't a problem as interest rates are at record lows and will remain there. And worse still, is evidently lacking when it comes to making responsible and responsive decisions when it comes to monetary policies. It's just pretty sad and disappointing. Meanwhile, when Justin Trudeau is so busy touting clean energy and business cases that he pretends to know so much about, gas prices in Europe continue to skyrocket and reach new record highs. It's clear that the world needs Canada at this very moment of dark energy crisis. The world needs what Canada has and is ready to pay good prices for it, but it's rather frustrating that we have a prime minister who is hell-bent on sabotaging every effort toward maximizing the potential utilizing the resources of a great nation like Canada. It is clear that the whole business case bullshit is just another subtle means of Trudeau trying to block every effort at reviving Canada's energy sector. If it's really sincere and intentional about the growth for Canada's energy industry, the Liberal government should get out of the way and let businesses and prospective investors do the business cases themselves. I mean, all the government needs to do is tell businesses the regulations they have to meet, then let them weigh them and make their investment decisions knowing the rules and regulations. But of course, it appears the people of Canada can't expect so much from a narcissistic prime minister who is arguably hell-bent on sacrificing the economy of his country for an ideological WEF-pleasing stand on climate change. It would most probably be one of the best days in the history of Canada when Canadians no longer need to listen to a corrupt, dishonest, frustrating, and virtue-signaling government like the Trudeau Liberals any longer, because they just make almost everything difficult for Canadians. And that's all I got for you today. Please, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Share this video with as many people as possible and drop your opinion in the comment section below. And keep in mind that we are always determined to boldly expose the hypocrisy of the left-wing and mainstream media while keeping you updated and conscious. See you in my next video. Thanks for watching.